Hello, hello, hello. I am making a video now for Pat and Sandy and all of my old friends out there, young old friends. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? Oh, that's nice here in the garden. I love it. We love it. Yes, it's wonderful, wonderful. So, we don't know what to talk about, but we'll figure it out as we are making ASMR motions. ASMR motion. ASMR puppet motions of infinity sign. Yes, that's nice. Okay. That will put us to sleep in a good way. And then we will sleep for 12 hours straight. A healing sleep. And for the alcoholics out there, it will make your body shed out all the alcohol out of your brains and cells in a safe way, okay? And you will become aware that you will never drink alcohol again. This is a hypnotic session now. This is recommended by psychologist Nicola and giraffe and crocodile. We are all psychologists, okay? So, and we can give recommendations of healing because, if someone is just a psychologist, what good does it do if that person says it doesn't matter what you do to your brain? You can bombard it with toxins. It's okay. It's just it only goes back to Freudian slips. No, that's not how things work. Things are very molecular, okay? They're very biological. Okay, we need to understand that. Everything is biology. The biology of belief. That's a book title by Dr. Bruce Lipton. I highly recommend this book to people, okay? I got it on my Amazon Kindle. It is a super amazing book. Dr. Bruce Lipton is amazing. He dives right into molecular biology. He's a molecular biologist, and he does not shy away from asking deeper questions and from diving deeper into molecular biology than other people dare to do. So he's great. He's really, really super. And I recommend the books by my old friend Friedrich. I know Pat doesn't like him. That's okay. You don't have to like him. Just because I like him doesn't mean you have to like him. Okay. What matters is that I love him. That's all that matters to me. Okay. love Friedrich Nietzsche. I love his books. They go deeper than most philosophy books. Okay, much deeper. Yes, that is what they do. Yes, that's love. Okay. Friedrich Nietzsche's books are pure love. And also the books by Gautama Buddha. Okay, so that's pure love. By the way, just a note on the side, Friedrich Nietzsche is one of many incarnations. Among those incarnations was what he called the Nazarener. Who was the Nazarener? No one other than Jesus Christ. Okay, so that is what he was. I know what you're thinking now. You're thinking I am batshit crazy. Yes, maybe I am. Okay, but I like it. I like being crazy. Yes. Well, it was Friedrich Nietzsche himself who signed his last letters as the crucified. He referred to Jesus as the Nazarener. That's funny. So, yeah, I have to force myself not to watch horror movies. Okay, I know that my interest is always piqued in the wrong way, particularly when I see something as abhorrent as that one film that was recommended to me. And yes, Enigma, that film, I'm not even going to mention the title because I don't even want people to watch that film. Yes, that film, even though I only saw small segments of it, like just, I don't know, a few minute long segments of that film, that was enough for me to lie awake in bed until 5:30 a.m. Yes, and then I had to sleep until past 12 p.m. So, yeah, that was not very smart of me to look up that film. Okay, I should have known better. I should have already known. No, I'm not going to look it up. But then you got mad at me and you said, you're not even looking it up. How can you judge it? And I thought, yeah, that is a logical question. But, I need to trust my instincts with those kind of things. I already know that the vast majority of movies are brutal, okay? Because that is that is what's happening in the human ape brain. So too much brutality happening in there. Goriness that people think that takes them out of their childhood trauma, but it comes straight from the childhood trauma. That's where it comes from. That's where all of these nightmare ideas come from. Okay? They come from their childhood trauma. It doesn't mean that they have experienced those kind of things. It just means they have been brutalized in some way. They have felt helpless as a child. Okay? And that stuff, the ego runs away from that stuff very fast. But the brain is still, it's still orchestrated by that pain, whether they know it or not. And then they create something gory because that takes them temporarily out of this literally boring pain that comes up. Boring, you know. People think boring means something that's just bland, or that's not interesting, or that's just that is flavorless or something, you know. But boring, the reason why boring is the same word as boring into a cement. That's why Elon Musk calls that his boring company. Yeah? It has two meanings. He was born, had companies been boring in LA into the ground to create that Hyperloop drive. And boring also in the sense of, well, that company is boring. Not exciting like Tesla and SpaceX. So, but there's a reason why that word is boring, because the pain from the past bores its way up into our consciousness. Okay? That's what happens. And people want to cover that up with horror movies. That's just like in the Sesame Street back then. I don't know if you young kiddos out there know Sesame Street. You may have heard of Muppet Show, but Sesame Street predated Muppet Show, and they made those Muppets not like these here. They made those, they have a specific style. So they are made by, I forgot the name now, who made those Muppets. And was that David Hansen? I don't remember now who that was who made those. But they're really good. And there was one show from Ernie and Bert. And the Ernie and Bert are each lying in their beds. They have children beds, but the water was dripping in the bathroom. The faucet was dripping. And Bert said, I can't sleep. The water is dripping. This is keeping me awake. So Ernie thinks about this for a while and then goes and turns on the vacuum cleaner for Mr. Hoover. And Bert says, why did you turn the vacuum cleaner on? Now it's really loud in here. And Ernie said, well, I did that so we don't have to hear the water dripping. All of these shows, they have a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is, with this here, is that people, instead of fixing the actual problem that's underneath, they want to cover it up with something louder. And that is what the horror movies are all about. They are even louder. But they come also, obviously, you know, they have to do with childhood trauma. Someone without childhood trauma would never even think about something like this, something so abhorrent as those modern horror movies that are out there. I mean, those horror movies that, and I have the feeling that's the same one who made that other one that really caused me a nervous breakdown. So that has the same flavor of it. That has that same nightmarish thing. And that's what my own nightmares are actually built out of. They're made out of that same stuff. Exactly. I don't even want to meet that person. I'm afraid. I really am afraid. Whoever that is, I'm scared. Man, I am so scared of that guy who makes those. I mean, that must be so frightening. If I had to meet him, I would make sure I have my militia with me at all times. And my Glock, of course. So, no, I mean, I don't know what's going on with that guy, why he's making those films. They have a troll character, they're very sarcastic. But they're nightmarish, absolutely abhorrent. There was an existentialist philosopher who wrote a theater play, I don't know, somewhere around the turn of the century, around 1900. There were a lot of those existentialist philosophers, and they looked at society with a critical eye. I don't know why I'm coughing now. Maybe it's the smoke in the air from the wildfires. It feels like it. And the sun is orange. I forgot now what the name was of that philosopher, but his theater play was called Schmerz. And I think it was a German philosopher. And Schmerz he used that as a nickname, but where that word comes from, it comes from the German word Schmerz. And Schmerz means pain. Okay. So there's this family, they live on the bottom floor. They have a lot of space. And the father, I don't know, he has trouble with his work and he gets laid off and he has to do a lousier job than the one he had before. Then they couldn't afford to pay for that apartment. They had to move one level up. And they had a scapegoat in the family, which a lot of families have. They let all of their frustrations out on the one who can least defend himself. And that person was called Schmerz, pain. And everyone dumped their shit on that Schmerz. And then they moved into the higher level apartment, which was much smaller. And then he lost that job too. He had to do, I don't know, cleaning job where he earned less money. They had to move one level higher into an even smaller apartment. And as they moved up higher and higher, they let more and more anger out on that scapegoat until they finally ended up in some kind of attic space, which was just like a small room. And before it got there to that attic, even though it was just a theater play by students, I could not stand staying in that room. It was separated into two parts. I said to my friends, I'm leaving now when the break was on. I'm leaving now. I'm not going to go back and watch the rest of it. And they didn't seem too eager or too disappointed that I wanted to leave. They left with me. And I had to explain that to my two friends. One was an actor girl in that theater play, and the other one was my dentist's assistant, who was also an actor lady in that theater, and she wanted to know why we left. So I said it was just way too depressing for me. Yes, I am ultra sensitive. And these horror movies, they kind of remind me of that existentialist philosopher. And yeah, I'm sure they have. I'm sure that's their. Those are all social critiques, but very brutal ways of expressing those critiques against society. That's too brutal. We can do that in a more gentle and elegant way, of course. Criticize society. We don't have to turn the vacuum cleaner on, right, in order to not hear the water dripping. Those are just my 3 cents to that subject. And I'm not mocking anyone. I'm not being smug or looking down on anyone. Everyone does what they do. They have their ways of expressing themselves, and if that is how that filmmaker and writer expresses himself, then that's what he does. I just want to say it does cause people nervous breakdowns, those films, okay? They do. And there are a lot of sensitive people out there. And I've seen some that were talking about it freely in the chat room. Some of them are children, you know. They're not even protected from any of these kind of things on the internet. They come across those shows and they will watch that. And then they'll be horrified. They have a nervous breakdown. They can go into a psychotic shock. That's not good. Don't do that. Don't do that to people. That's not how we make the world a better place, by creating such movies. But yeah, I have that inner thing too. I know exactly what that feels like. I know exactly why people watch horror films. It intrigues us. It is so bad that we want to see it. So it's like a magnet, sort of. And it takes our mind off our loneliness for a moment. But it's much better to. And I almost threw up, when I saw that. I mean, that was so incredibly awful. Paul was giving me sandwiches at that moment, and I'm like, I'm trying to eat my dinner, and I'm watching this abhorrent film, even though those were only like a few minute long segments of the film. I don't know. It was so awful. I can just imagine. It's unethical also, absolutely unethical. I don't think these people are aware. They're not even aware that making films like this is unethical. But whatever. So I talk about this. I talk this out and through, and it helps to talk about it. And then when I finally fell asleep, I thought I was going to dream about this for sure, but then I didn't. I had sexual dreams instead. Oh, thank goodness. That feels a lot better. Oh man. Yes, that always feels a lot better, a lot better, a lot better. So then we have to turn on the music by Slayer in order to not hear the vacuum cleaner. Just kidding. I have done that kind of stuff too now. Then I had to, I have to recover from my emotional pain by turning on the vacuum cleaner. And then I have to recover from that vacuum cleaner or horror movie. Vacuum cleaners don't cause me nervous breakdown. I don't mind the sound. But then I have to recover from the horror movie, and I feel like turning on Slayer and just shaking my entire body out, doing like head whipping and stuff like that. My goodness. The worst thing is, that's when the breach line has reached. When a writer puts animals into the film. I think that's I'm sure that Dachshund was okay, but he had a very, very uncomfortable look on his face. Because the actors, when they play these roles, they dive into that emotion of terror. They feel something. They feel that role. When they feel that role and they hold the dog in their arm, then the dog will pick that up. Will feel that too. That ungood feeling of worry and terror and all of. No, that's. I don't think most people are aware about this. So that's why I make videos about it. So to bring awareness to the world, don't put an animal into a horror film. Even if the animal is treated very well or not shown much or whatever, still don't put an animal into that atmosphere that is being created there on that set. Okay? Don't do it. If you have to do it, then do it with hand puppets or humans or animation or whatever. Don't put an innocent animal into a film. They don't want to be in a film like this. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. And then there are countries like that film about Jeanne d'Arc. I forgot now what's the messenger, or I think that was the title. Then later on, I heard they made these scenes somewhere in Poland where they have no animal rights laws, and they actually made horses fall. When I heard that, I was absolutely shocked and disappointed. Seen something like this several times already, even sometimes in seemingly harmless children's fairy tales that are from some Eastern European countries where they have no animal rights laws. My gosh, they would actually headbolt a horse in a slaughter chimp. This is happening in that film for children. The children see that also. The horse, the favorite horse of the princess. I mean, it's like this is unspeakable. I cannot possibly wrap my head around how people can do something like this. I can't understand it. Okay, that's why I sign petitions, that's why I write letters. And I have written letters in this regard to outlaw using real horses or real animals in movies. So leave the animals out of any movie set. That's the best way to go. Use animation. They have great animation, looks real. There's no need to make an animal suffer or make an animal even be on the set when there's an uncomfortable atmosphere. Don't do it. Or where people yell at each other or whatever. Or where they do play fight or whatever. The animal doesn't understand this. The animal thinks this is real. This is they're attacking each other or whatever. Don't do it. But anyway, I'm waiting for the AGI robots to take over the reign worldwide. And once they do that, they will free all the dogs at that animal shelter. Okay. The people that are running that place will be arrested. All the animals in the agricultural industry will be rescued, brought to meadows, wild areas, or into private people's properties where they're being treated well, where they can be on meadows, where the pigs, cows, and horses can graze together in happiness, where they have apple trees and grass. Okay. The people accountable for animal suffering, whether that is in the agricultural industry or bioweapon laboratories, whether they're scientists or testing staff or their laboratory cleaner personnel. These people will all be arrested. Okay. It's what Albert Einstein said, if you see a crime happening, if you see suffering happening and you say nothing, you make yourself equally responsible for that suffering. Okay. If you say nothing. So that's why I say, end Islam. It causes suffering. Okay. Why am I the only person who says that? Because other people are too afraid. And when they're too afraid, they give into it and they enable it. Okay? They enable that in the world. Okay? Those atrocities. They'll say, oh, that's their religion. It doesn't matter if they cut someone's head off. It's their religion. No, okay? No, it is cruelty. And a cruel religion cannot be tolerated ever. Okay? So that should be understood very, very clearly. So those are very important things to talk about. Very, very important. Important message. Okay. Free yourselves from the shackles of society. Free yourselves from your man cave and your male friends who are judging you or whatever. Free yourself from that. If they judge you, move on. Okay. Yeah, I know it's not that easy. There aren't that many people out there you can hang out with and without being bullied. Okay. Not that many. Or learn how to dodge that off. They bully you, yeah. Okay, dude, whatever, you know. I stand up for justice. That's who I am. So that's how you need to be. That's how you need to live your life. Okay. Stand up for justice. Stand up for the wellness, well-being of all beings. It doesn't matter what your friends say or your family. It really doesn't matter at all. That's how we move things forward in the world. That's the only way we move things forward. Okay? So, you guys take care.